Hey onda, thanks for watching Doing Life with Jenny. If you are new here, I am currently a Spanish teacher in the United States, but at the end of this school year, I'm packing up my dog and my things and moving to Mexico to the state of Hidalgo. Today, we're talking about dinero, barro, plata, feria. Yeah, that's right, we're talking about money. Because if you too are moving abroad, how are you going to get your money from the US to whatever country you're moving to? And forgive me, I've been sick all week and I was feeling better, but today I'm actually feeling worse. But I already tried to record this last night, but I forgot to hit record. So I'm here trying to re-record it on my prep period. Firstly, I had to find a new bank here in the US. Since I was 4, I've been with a credit union, and most credit unions are like a local thing, not a national thing. And as you'll see here in a second, it wasn't going to meet my needs, so I looked for a bank that had the following. 1, I needed to easily and cheaply transfer money from my US account to my or a Mexican account. 2, I needed them to be able to send any debit or credit cards straight to my house in Mexico. 3, I needed them to have branches along the border just in case I would have to physically go to a branch. I would only have to go to Texas instead of all the way back to St. Louis or wherever. Because there was one bank I was going to have to physically go to, and they only have a branch, I think in Boston or somewhere in that neck of the woods. And I was going to physically have to go. I'm not sure why, but they only allow you to have an international phone number and address if you physically show up to the branch. So I ruled that out. And then lastly, I was looking into the banking fees. Like I just said, I was previously with a credit union. They don't have all of those fees because they are non-profit. So that was kind of a new ball game for me. So after doing some research and physically going in person to a few of them to meet with someone, I chose PNC. With PNC, they will mail you your credit card or debit card to Mexico. I didn't ask about any other countries. They have several branches throughout the country, including along the border. Their most basic account only requires that you have $500 in the account. If you drop below $500, then they charge a $7 monthly fee. And they make it super easy to transfer money internationally. So let me go into detail on their transfer fees and how it's set up. So with PNC, to transfer money internationally, it's a $5 flat rate. At least it's $5 for Mexico. I don't know if it changes by country. They do have a daily and an annual limit on how much you can transfer internationally, but I find it to be more than enough. Unless you're literally living like a king somewhere. The only thing is that they don't give you the current exchange rate. They do take a small percentage, but I feel it's reasonable. For example, last time I transferred money, the exchange rate was 17.98, and PNC gave it to me at 17.41. If you've heard of WISE or WISE transfer, they do give you the actual exchange rate. However, their fees might be the same or more, or maybe slightly less, depending on how much you're sending. So if you've been looking into using WISE or you already use it, you might just want to go on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes it might be cheaper to use PNC, sometimes it might be cheaper to use WISE, just depending on how much you're sending. But I like knowing it's always $5 with PNC. Whenever you transfer money, all you have to do is know the person's name, which in most cases is probably going to be yourself. You'll need to know the name of the bank and either the account number or the debit card number associated with the account. You just enter the name, address, phone number, and email address. And I like it because I can click and say whether I want to do it in dollars or pesos. Because sometimes, let's say my lawyer needs 500 pesos. Well, if I guess in dollars, the rough exchange rate, I have to keep playing with it until it equals 500 pesos. Nope, let me add a couple cents, let me deduct a couple cents. If I set it on pesos, then I can say he needs 500 pesos, and then it will tell me how many dollars I need to send him. Whenever you're transferring money, just don't forget to scroll towards the bottom of the page and make sure you've gone to the very, very end, because there is one page where it looks like you're finished, but it's just a preview of the receipt. I've done that before. I thought I sent it and they're like, oh, I didn't get it. Make sure you're scrolling all the way to the bottom and submitting, making sure there's nothing else on the next page. I will say I had loads of problems with PNC my first couple months using it. Every time I would try to do something on their website, it wouldn't let me because I was new, so I had to like get something set up or have it approved, and it was so annoying. And I think it's your first month, your first 30 days with them, you can't do any kind of transfers or wires. So if you do open an account with them, just play with it right away, even if you don't need money or you don't need to transfer money. Do it anyway, that way when you actually need your money, you have everything squared away. Because I swear, every time I logged into their app or website, I had to contact customer service to make anything happen. After those initial 2 months or so, I haven't had any issues except for the website or app was unavailable a couple times. But I just checked back a few hours later and then it was fine. But I feel like that's pretty typical. And their app and their website are very user-friendly, pretty intuitive, because something I'm going to mention later is not. So with PNC, I only have a debit card, and it's going to be my backup debit card, because if I were to use it in Mexico or any country, I'm going to have fees for it not being a PNC affiliated bank, and 2, lots of fees for it being an international transaction. So that's just for emergencies. So how am I going to physically access my money? Charles Schwab, okay? Their website is atrocious. It is not intuitive at all. It is not even easy to like see your transaction history, but they are gonna save your patootie. 1, because they can send you your debit card to Mexico and probably to most countries because they do a lot of international work. With Charles Schwab, you're gonna save yourself all of those ATM fees, okay? The little $2 or $3 ATM fee, they're gonna refund that. The international fee, they're going to refund that. Most of the time, I see my refund like the next day. Because why would I pay $15 to find out if PNC's fee is only $5? I don't wanna risk it, because I imagine they take a little cut too. Most places do. If I were rich, I would pay the fee anyway just to let you know, but I'm not rich. Next, Charles Schwab allows you to have your investment accounts and retirement accounts, whereas with Edward Jones, they were going to make me close most of my accounts upon knowing that I had an international address. So I moved my Roth IRA to Charles Schwab, I moved my traditional IRA to Charles Schwab, and I also have like a brokerage account. There are restrictions on like how your money can be invested if you have an international account. I know nothing about that. I've asked them about it and I still don't understand it, but just know you still can invest and you still can have your retirement accounts, just it might be set up a little bit differently than what you currently have. If I remember correctly, you can't have mutual funds, but they'll figure out somewhere for your money to go. The only drawback to Charles Schwab, besides the hot mess of a website that they have, is it takes a while to get your money, because first you're going to have to transfer it from your actual bank to your Charles Schwab account, and then it will take 7 days for you actually to be able to withdraw it or do something with it, because it will take 3 or 4 days for the money to actually show up into your Charles Schwab account, and then it has to sit there for another 3 days before you can touch it. So it's like 7 days before you can physically have your money. Yes, you can direct deposit your money to Charles Schwab, like your paycheck or your pension or whatever, but I kind of get the feeling you're not really supposed to do that. You're not supposed to treat it like a bank account. Because once I disclosed that I was moving to Mexico, they made me close my checking account with them. It's supposed to be more of an investment retirement kind of thing. So lastly, I needed a good credit card. Disclaimer, I do not have any debt, not even a single penny of debt. If you know you don't have control of your spending habits, I don't recommend that you have a credit card. I want you to be responsible with your money. But I do use credit cards, and while in Mexico, using my credit card is going to be my default when possible. Mexico still very largely has a cash economy, but credit cards are fairly widely accepted if you go to any kind of chain or a large restaurant, large store. You obviously can't use your credit card to go to the fruit and veggie market or like little locally owned stores or restaurants. But I plan on using the credit card primarily. That way I'm avoiding having to transfer money and therefore incurring those $5 transfer fees every time. Of course, the wise idea is to transfer as much as they allow at once, and when the exchange rate is in the dollar's favor, to avoid paying $5 transfer fees often. But anyway, the credit card is ideal because you don't have to move any money, because you're just moving it within the US, from your US bank account to your US credit card account. Anyways, the credit card I have is the Altitude Go with US Bank. It's a Visa. There are no annual fees. There are no international fees. If you didn't know that, usually if you use a credit card out of country, they charge you a little fee. And the fee is based on like how much the purchase price was. It might be a couple cents, it might be $1. And then if you care to know, the APR is 19.24%, which I'm guessing is really high, but I don't know because I pay it off at the end of each month. So as you may have seen several videos ago, I am opening an account in Mexico. I have decided on BBVA, which I decided thanks to several friends' recommendations. To open up a Mexican bank account, you do need to be a resident, whether temporary or permanent, and you need to show proof of address, which I did not have. Well, I had, but not the kind that they wanted. Like you need to have like a water bill, a phone bill, or something with your address. But as soon as I get back to Mexico and I open that, I'll explain more on that process. Well, that's all of the money talk we have today. If you would like to continue following me in my journey in moving from the US to Mexico, be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. See you in the next video. Adios.